Is anybody thinking, I'm ready to do something else in social studies besides watch Mr. Sweet do videos? Is somebody thinking, what's the deal with that flamingo behind Mr. Sweet? Are some of you thinking, boy, Mr. Sweet, you need to shave? Well, I'm kind of thinking all three. That's why today we're rolling out our Branches of Government project. In this project, you're going to pick one of our 3 branches of government to learn a little bit more about and to make an Adobe Spark video with what you've learned. We've all used Adobe Spark this year a couple of times, once in social studies, definitely once in science, so we know you're familiar with it. But your first task is to pick a branch that you want to learn more about. Those would of course include the legislative branch, the executive branch, or the judicial branch. Your 2 main resources for learning about your branch are going to be this book, which you've used all year. Of course, you don't have a copy at home, so we're going to teach you how to get on the online version. But before you left, we also gave you one of these. This is a little constitution booklet that is written in kid-friendly language, so it's easier for you to understand. To get to your online textbook quickly, I've moved a button to help you right onto the project page. You can click here to get to the online textbook. Now, I've signed in using my good friend Claire Morrissey's account just so you can see what it would look like from a student's perspective. She's going to click Student Sign In, and when she does, she'll see this. She can click Sign In with Google, and if she's already signed in as Claire on her computer, it will sign her right in, and she can get to her content. Now, our chapter, which we're going to be looking at today, is chapter 14, about the Constitution. You click 14, it's going to take us to that lesson, and then you want to go to the section that applies. So if you're reading or if you chose the legislative branch, that's section 3, section 4 for the executive branch, and section 5 for judicial. Now, some of you may run into some problems that make it a little more difficult than I showed you with Claire getting in. If that's the case, it's possible that you haven't created an account yet at school. Maybe you're one of our newer students that joined mid-year, like Emma, for example, in my Block 1. So for Emma, what she can do is hit create an account. Then she can sign up with Google. It's going to fill in most of the information for Emma's account, but she needs to put in her teacher's name. Now for Miss Boyd, I believe it's her email, kboyd@l8prep.org. But for me, I think I changed it to just Mr. Sweet. And when she creates an account, she's going to pick which block she's got and choose that class, and now she's in. To help you with this project, I've created this video, but I've also made a page on our website dedicated to the project. This page has everything that you're going to need to know to make sure you get an A on the project and to do the best that you can. So I want to walk you through that page now. From the home page, you have a few ways to get to our project page. The most simple way probably would be to go over to subjects, to social studies, and then you can see it's in our little subcategories right here. But if you find yourself in social studies looking around for it, you can also go down to the projects page, click on that, scroll down, and you see there's a button now for our Branches of Government project. This page starts out with a brief description of what you're going to do. Over here in this white spot will be where this video I'm creating right now will live, so you can rewatch the directions. This section shows you what you're going to need to read in order to learn what you need to learn for your project. So if you pick, say, the executive branch, you're going to want to read textbook lesson 14, section 4, and in your Constitution booklet, article 2, which is pages 11 and 14. All of you, no matter which project you choose, you're going to need to understand at least one thing your branch does as part of checks and balances. And so you're going to need to read the section of your textbook from page 202 to 203 that will help you understand that. Underneath, there are a few buttons which will take you to some websites that'll help you do the other part of the project where you need to find 2 members of your branch in the first government, meaning in 1787, and then 2 current members of your branch. So these buttons will take you to those helpful places. Down here is the project guide. Project guide gives you all the directions for what needs to be in the project. This over here is your learning collection sheet. This is something I might recommend you download and print out so that you can write down the information needed to do your project. All you got to do is click on these buttons and it will download these files for you. Underneath, there's a project example. This is one I made. It's kind of a goofy imaginary branch of the government, so you can see what a finished project might look like. I'm not going to play it here, but you could. And down here is where, when we're done, buttons to take us to our final projects will be housed. Let's focus in on these two documents real quick. The first thing you'll see is that the video requirements are spelled out in that big green box in the center of the page. You need to make sure your first slide is the title slide of your branch, right? Executive branch, etc. The main job of your branch, what do they basically do? Underneath that, 3 powers your branch has. These are 3 responsibilities and powers over the other branches that your branch has. This is a good time to go check out that Constitution booklet. They have a lot of information about the powers of each branch. You want to also list what your branch consists of. In other words, who's in it. Not necessarily the people's names specifically, but like, for example, in the legislative branch, it's made up of Congress, which is the House of Representatives, and the Senate. Things like that. Who or what groups make up your branch. The next section is where you'll want to go to those websites I mentioned earlier. You want to find the names, pictures, and positions, the jobs, of 2 people from the first government back in the 1780s. Also, you want to find 2 names and pictures and positions of 2 current members of your branch. This second sheet is where you might print off and record that information that you find in your research. It's got all the things listed out that you need, and if you've got that all in the paper, then you just need to make sure it gets into your video. To demonstrate what you've learned, we're going to use Adobe Spark Video, which again, you've used before in school this year. You can either use the web version of Adobe Spark or an app version. I'm going to show you how to do both, but let's start with the web version. To get started with Adobe Spark, you're first going to go to their website, spark.adobe.com. I'm going to choose Sign In. It's going to ask you to sign in using one of several options, but we're going to log in with our school account. Once you're here, you should be able to click the Google button, and it will log you in with your LH Prep information. For this one, I'm going to choose Enterprise ID because we are a company or a school. Once it lets you in, you should see a collection of all of the projects you've already made in 5th grade and maybe even in 4th grade. Now I'm going to create a project by going to the blue Create a Project button. They've changed some of their features and they have more options, but we're going to choose video to make our movie. By definition, it asks you to start by giving it a title. You can skip this if you'd like. And I want to choose Start from Scratch rather than use one of their templates. This should come back to you pretty quickly. Adobe Spark is a very simple way to make pretty basic movies. They start by giving you a title slide. This would be a good place to maybe put your title of your branch and maybe put a picture. But they also put an ending slide as well. Again, you've got 4 options here, and I want to choose a title. Let's say I'm doing the executive branch. And I also want to add a picture in the background, so I can choose photo. Now, they've got free photos built into Adobe. If you don't like the ones they have, you can go upload your own. Let's see if they've got anything that fits the White House. Now I see this is the legislative branch. Here's the White House down here. That would fit my executive branch. So I can click it and it puts a background to my picture. If I want to add my next slide, I can hit plus here and it sticks another slide in. I would encourage you to be creative with changing up the format so that all of your slides don't look exactly the same. You've got some options over here with either full screen, split screen, something with a caption, or a title and text. Let's say for this slide, I want to make a split screen. On one side, I could put my text, and maybe on the other side, I could put a picture or a video or an icon. Icons are like little logos, and I might even be able to find a White House logo. So get creative, share what you've learned. build your slideshow or your movie. Make sure you've checked it for spelling and for grammar. Make sure that you've got all of your content in there that's required in the project and as stated on the project guide. And when you're done, you're going to want to hit share up here. You need to publish it. This is where you're going to make sure you put a title on there. You can give it a subtitle if you want. Make sure that you change your last name, please, to just be your last initial. You can pick a category, which for me is education, and I'm going to create a link. This link is what we're going to take, copy, and turn in the Google Classroom assignment where this project is located. Here's my link. I will copy it. I will go to Google Classroom. I will paste a link and turn it in. Now, notice there is a Google Classroom button here. I would skip that. I would just copy the link and go and turn in your project the way that you've done all year long.
Now for a look at what you'll do if you're one of them fancy iPad folks.
All right, so I've got the Adobe Spark app downloaded to my iPad, and when I open it, you're going to be tempted to go to continue with Google, but I think because we did it with school, you have, if you look down underneath the sign up for free, we have an ID for education account, so I'm going to choose login down there. Here is where I'm going to put in my LH prep information. Now I'm going to choose a company or school account. And it's signing me in. Now it's going to take me to the Google page where I again will write my LH prep information. Once I popped in my password, it went to this screen right here. I say got it. And now I've got access to my videos on my videos page. I can hit the plus sign and create a new video. It's going to give you a little tutorial which you can skip or watch. But now it's very similar to the online experience. I'm going to skip to the editor. And here I have, again, very much the same look. I have a way to add a slide, add text, add pictures, and so forth. Now when you're done, there's a share button up in the top right, and you want to copy link to the clipboard so that we can turn it in using your Google Classroom turn-in page. Follow the same instructions here that you would have on the web version.
All right, I know that's a lot, but I know you can do it. Have fun, be creative, and we can't wait to see what you come up with. This project is due Monday morning, so you have one full week to get it done and get it turned in. Good luck, 5th grade.